Luke chapter 14, verse 28 says, and I read to you, "For which of you intending to build a tower does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it?" Now, I know that, the context in which Jesus was talking, it was talking in the context of discipleship, the cost of following him and things like that. But as I meditated on this passage, on this verse, it just made me think about strategic planning. And God wants us in our walk of faith to apply practical wisdom. We should evaluate things. If you notice what it says in that verse, it says that who is this person that wants to build a tower that does not first sit down to consider the cost? In this context, for you to sit down means for you to sort of calm down and strategically think about what you're about to do. Now, sitting to plan does not mean that you're walking by sight and not by faith. It doesn't mean that you do not trust God. I've seen people who assume that planning ahead means that you do not trust God. They'll be like, don't you trust God? Why are you overthinking it? Nah, I'm not saying you should overthink things, but you can plan. Look at Noah. God actually gave him a design to build an ark to protect them from the flood that was coming. That was God, a plan. We also see in the story of Joseph in Egypt, where he stored up grains for 7 years. Okay, that was planning, knowing what was going to come 7 years after there was grain stored up, so that God's people will be preserved. Nehemiah inspected the plan for the building of the wall, to execute a plan to build back the wall of the ruins of Jerusalem. So yes, please plan. Practical wisdom does not mean that you are ignoring your faith. I can give you scriptures and scriptures to show you that God expects us to have practical wisdom in dealing with the affairs of life and not just go into things blindly. I read to you from Luke 14:28. So I'm going to read the concluding, the next verse to that. Okay, and it's 29. It says, "Lest after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him." So when we do not carefully plan and strategize for something, then we risk uncompleted projects. And you think, oh, where was God when I started this thing, and all of that? Did you sit down to plan, to count the cost? Lastly, what I will say to you, that God is not honored when you just make careless decisions. So when you make your plans, you trust God with your plans, He will guide your path to accomplish your plans. I know that you're walking by faith, but practical wisdom is not the absence of faith. I hope this has blessed you. God bless you.